Hello, folks. Top Gun here, and I got a good one for you. I know it's been a while, but I'm back with some of that Merry Christmas holiday PulseX moon math. Hallelujah. Oh, yes, brothers and sisters, we have a wonderful experience of that invigorating moon math. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to go into millions of X's, thousands of X's. I'm not doing the 20-year, 10-year, 5-year. I'm just going to do 1 year of PulseX. That's all I'm going to do. A little bit simpler. And I'm going to give, like before, the option of these things up to you. We'll get into it in a moment. But for now, let's just talk about the Pulse ecosystem. 24 hours, Hex has been the winner. Woo! Go Hex! Hex is our favorite, isn't it? It's always going to be there. But maybe honestly, I should have changed my name to PulseX because, it is my favorite. It really is. Hex got me started. I love it, don't get me wrong. I still own plenty of it and been buying more. But PulseX, that's my love. I did all the math around it. Those Red Bull fuel, blue. Yeah. And when you look at the last 90 days, one little thing, when you look at up 147%, that's not a 1.4x. That's a 2.4x. As in, the price is now 247% of what it was. I know it's a weird little thing in math, and they're like, well, it's only gone up by 10%. Well, that's 110% of what it was. So when you want to know the x's, because if you're just counting x's, you got to add 100 to this. So that's 2x, 3x, 2x, 7x. Whoo! Hoo! Dolly. It's been go time. And I know it's been a little bit alarming because we go and actually look at the charts here. We'll switch on over, and this is the pulse chart. And pay no attention to the lines on the screen. TA is a voodoo science. It doesn't work. You don't really want to pay attention to it. Nuh-uh. Forget about it. Forget those lines. You never saw them. They didn't exist. You know what? There's a button for that, I think. Isn't there down here? There's a button for that. What is it? Oh, it's not there anymore? Stay in drawing mode. Magnet. Oh. Man, maybe it's buried down there. I'm thinking of trading view. I don't know. Oh, there it is. There we go. Forget all those lines. Wonderful. Scroll buttons are great. So anyways, this is the pulse chart. To some, not so impressive. To others, very impressive. Realistically, this big, huge run-up was an infusion of cash from Greg the Duck. It looked great. So a wonderful, mysterious benefactor used some raised monies potentially and pushed price up. Wonderful. But the market wasn't ready for it, so it sold it back down. We double bottomed. Very, very painful. But we love those fat bottom girls. Oh, yes, we do. Yes, Freddie Mercury. Go Queen. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a very wonderful chart. Once all of a sudden it gets dwarfed into, this is just a flat line compared to everything else we're looking at that's gone up. Oh, yes. It will be great. But as for right now, we look at this chart and we're building momentum. Nobody necessarily sees it, but we are. And, you go over and you look at PulseX price. Go figure that our chart really mimicked the thing that it's priced in very heavily. That would be Hart's Law. So, yes, same fat bottom chart. And everybody's like, haha, your buy and burn doesn't work. It's not doing anything. Look at this chart. Well, yeah, but, that bottom here is not as low as that bottom there. And it might be a little bit better if we just switch to the hidden secret alpha of ratio charts. No one will really show them to you, as we're going forward in the bull market. But, when the base asset chain pumps, so even if, if it pumps up a 10x and your asset that you're really psyched about on the chain is coming down to 2x, it'll still look like it's going up. But when you switch to this tells the actual story. So, Pulse was going down, so it looked like PulseX is going down because account was priced in it. But here's its ratio to Pulse. It's pricing in Pulse tokens, how many Pulse tokens it takes. So before, it only took 0.3 of a Pulse token to get your PulseX. Then it was 0.5, and almost it was up to 0.7. We're sitting at 0.68. is in it's getting more and more expensive in Pulse. This is the buy and burn hard at work over the last year. This line, this TA line, you can pay attention to. It's lovely. It's wonderful. It's nice and flat. Almost no exceptions. It is a wonderful, wonderful little chart once the market actually bailed out of PulseX because they didn't understand the glory of the buy and burn. So if you want to understand that buy and burn, how efficient it is and how it works, we look over at PulseX and we need some information because we can see 1.12 trillion tokens gone. At today's price is $64 million worth. Just our drunken Michael Saylor bot has swooped in and bought it up. He doesn't care. He buys it high. He buys it low. He will never stop buying. He has more in common with a Terminator bot than Michael Saylor, though, because none of his stash is going to stay like a leprechaun pot of gold. Oh, no. Ours is hell-bent on destruction like the T-1000, and every share it gets, it destroys, throws in a dumpster, lights it on fire, hits the delete key, gone. No more. It can't be sold on your head later. And it's not just one of those funny burn gimmicks because it buys it and then burns it. So it's putting that money into the liquidity pool, which is why that price in Pulse just keeps going up, folks. Just keeps going up. So what could it do into the future? What's that going to look like? Well, nobody knows. Anybody who says they know the future is lying to you. Big fat lies. Nobody can see the future. Now you want to look into my crystal ball so we can see the future? Because I don't know. Like, I ran the math model a bunch of times over the years. You guys want to see how it's built, really learn the math, you can go back and watch the old videos. But I'm going to go in and show you a bit of it, explain a little bit of it quickly. And you can see why it works. My old ones, I thought in terms of bullishness of Uniswap, 100% way too bullish. 10%, lovely Goldilocks zone. 1%, probably not bullish enough. Well, turned out the 1% was closer to the accurate. So along those different variables I ran, some of them were actually pretty close to what happened. So, funny enough, I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future. This is not financial advice. I cannot make this warning any bigger. That is a lie. I am making this bigger. Warning, not financial advice. All right? Now that's in your face. Now that's in your face, we can have a look at the model. We can have a look at how it works and why it works. So some of the information I had to carry over from PulseX was the liquidity pool. So approximately 1.36 trillion. Wonderful. We have a price of approximately 569, 575. So it's about on par, $78 million approximately for that amount. So that means we have a liquidity total of about $150 million plus. Wonderful. That's our liquidity starting pair and price. So that's all set up. The math also depends on knowing how much of the portion of revenue is for fees and how much of those fees are supposed to go to the buy and burn. And then it doesn't really take into account, like I should actually update that 75% to reflect a cross between the 99% and 75% that's happening. But yeah, go bug. Wonderful. It's the only successful bug ever. All the liquidity providers did get robbed of their fees, but they're getting a lovely incentive token. But those fees are going to a good cause as they are constantly removing and deflating the supply of PulseX and pushing that price up. So knowing the variables of X times Y equals K, that's all you need to know for V2 liquidity. So tokens times value, or dollars in some cases, like stablecoin. That equals K. And K will never change as you're selling or buying into that pair, only if you make the market. If you're adding and stocking these shelves or pulling your stock away because you don't want to sell it anymore, can you change this mythical K number? So, since we're just going to look at buying and selling and assume that nobody's going to change their liquidity stance, that's how we're going to start with some of our assumptions. If people pull their liquidity, the price will go up higher than I'm thinking. At this point in the market, because of impermanent loss, they're not going to be adding it. They might be pulling it, but I'm not going to be looking into that. So I treat K as an actual constant. And then the math is pretty simple. Like, all right, I just have to look at what are we doing. So I used to base this off of Uniswap, but we've had a year and a half of our own DEX to go with. So now I just set it to 100%. Well, hello, Pat. If you want to come over for the video, you can. Yeah. Hi. Oh well, distraction from the squirrel. Anyway, back to the video. So I set this to 100% of itself because now it's not Uniswap anymore. So right now, the absolute base, like deadest the chain gets, $10 million of volume a day in PulseX. That is behind us. No more bear market. We're heading into 2025, the year after the halving. Probably got 12 months of steady volume ahead of us. So we're going to look at 1 year of what volume can do to price. So I've set it to 100 million right now, even though we're at like 120 million. We should probably discuss some of those facts. So let's go over and have a quick look at the stats of PulseX. So over here, we've got the daily stats. You can see the transactions are really going up, and they're not going to slow down as we're heading into the bull market here. We are going to see quite a rampage, and even as we head into bull market or bear market kind of turbulence and then back into dead cat bounces and stuff, like the volume is so excessively high. We're going to see high transactions and high volume for the whole next year. We can see that we have maxed out before on daily volume. If I go through this nice and slowly, come on, give me the number, give me it there, 220. It flashed there for a second. Then previous peaks, when everyone was excited, 165, and at the very dolly 320 million at just launch because there was so much FOMO and Stanima. So as it looks like we're going up on a steady pace right here, I've decided to set 100 million as the base level for the next year. All right, so 100 million, but we don't get any busier. It's just 100 million average every day for the next 12 months. And nobody buys and nobody sells. And I simulate purchasing liquidity month over month. And you start to see the exit generate. And wow, it'll be about double sack or 3.7 times today's price. How boring. Wow. But that's not taking into account the market buying and the market selling. And the market buying is going to outweigh the market selling now at this point. Welcome to the bull market. But that's not projected in here. I'm just looking at what the buy and burn does base underlying, like that little steady line going up that you saw in the ratio. What's the underlying push beyond what the market can do to it? Because the market can push it up higher, and we'll kind of look at that. But this is just the base. So, I mean, we saw on there that we've already had a height of 200 million, so we could easily assume that maybe at the height of 12 months from now, by the time we're November, December, of 2025, we'll be looking at $200 million daily volume. So from 100 to 200 across the year looks a little more like this. And the built-in 3.5x turns into a built-in 7x. Well, that's nice. So it should be a 10.5x if it's scaling the same if we go to 300 million, but it's not. That actually amplifies. So we get to an 11x. Well, isn't that interesting? So what if over all this chaos, we break our old records and we get to 400 million daily by the end of it. So 100 up to 400 million over the next year. Well, now we're looking at a 15.7x built in. So why not get crazy here? Let's get to a $500 million. Let's just say we're getting bullish now. Now that bit us in the butt last time. You can go back and look at the old videos and laugh at me. But this is what we're looking at now is a lovely 21x almost. Built in 20.97. You can scroll down here and I can highlight it's this number right here. If you've seen where the mouse is swimming, so it generates the X's from today's price based on, like, wow, that's really nice. I got a little chart generating. This is not right anymore, but the amount burned over over this year, wow, that could be the total removed under these circumstances by the buy and burn. Wow, that could be almost a whole nother trillion if we get that busy. So we might even break 2 trillion at 10% at the end of the year, assuming people aren't buying it up off the market ahead of it, because that will slow it down. Now, if you want to understand how that works, I always lied to you guys when I said I couldn't do buys and burns. I just never really fixed the math so I could do both a buy and a sell in the same month. So let's assume sell or buy pressure for the first month. We'll make that $10 million. Yes, Dr. Evil, $10 million. Wonderful. Okay. Well, that amplifies us up to 22x instead of 21. That's not really that big of a boost. That shows you how heavy the buying burn is going to be working. But let's say it gets even more bullish in the next month because people are getting the FOMO. So there is $20 million more of buying than selling. Well, now we're up to a 24x. But with those in the early months of what we were looking at, we're down to just 663 billion burnt. So 2/3 of a trillion instead of almost a full trillion, because the market has swept it up off the market, like off of the DEX before our drunken Michael Saylor bot could annihilate those tokens. Whew. All right, it's been kind of crazy. So let's say that now we're heading, so that's December, well, end of December, January 1st. So end of January, February 1st. So let's say end of February, March 1st. Instead of the market buying, let's say there's like a whole oh no, it's going to be 3 months of chaos. So let's say they get all the way up to 50 million. Let's just speculate that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I know you guys love my clicking keyboard. It's classic. My mic is so loud you'll hear it all. Oh wow, we're getting up to a 31x with this market buy pressure in the early months. Doesn't really seem to affect the graph at the beginning much, but now, let's say Bitcoin tops and we get our pullback and we get panic selling. And what the hell? Let's actually crash price with 500,000? No, that's not a lot of tokens. Million? That's not really a lot of tokens. Billion. Yes. Let's go with 0.25% of the supply dumps on our heads. All right, after all of that buying, we're back down to the 20x. Isn't that interesting? We can even come down and see the graph get hurt, but the buy and burn working in the background. Now, what none of this takes into account after we get our panic sellers is Ethereum will have broken 8,000K, so maybe 10K. So we're looking at maybe between $1.2 to $1.5 billion in Greg the Duck's fanciful, imaginary, look into rh.com, wallet that might be left over from sacrifice funds that he didn't go to Tahiti and drink and sit with beautiful women. No, maybe he did that too, but with his own money. Because our money was on chain and we could see where it went. The money we gave him, that's no longer ours because we sacrificed it. So this means that this wonderful benefactor could start rotating in very heavily at this point. And he could do something as fanciful as $100 million. He could. And he could do that again the next month. He could. And he could easily do that again the next month. Make that a little more apparent. There we go. Ooh, that was $1 billion. Oops. One extra 20. Okay. So he could rotate that in for the next 3 months, fighting the bear market, the bullback in Bitcoin, if it resembles what it did in last cycle. Okay. So with Greg the Duck participating, that bumps our 20x up to a 68x. So, wow, the two of them just working together to chew through everything. Ooh, that really is starting to make what looks like a price chart. But now, what happened last time, if let's assume we get the same kind of chaos we got last time, is all of a sudden Bitcoin started coming back. So we saw another rotation of profits. So let's assume for 2 months we get a fighting out. Let's dump another 500 billion tokens. Wow. All right, that takes us down to a 14x. Ow. Oof. But this is now, we're talking about 5% of the supply dumped over and top of all the buying. This is just excessive selling, assuming the market equalizes itself. So I'm just like excessive selling. And let's say we even get another 250. Now let's make it 500 again. Let's make it a whole trillion dump. So this is 1.5 trillion tokens dumped, excessive, like above the market's buy and sells. Like assume one guy sells 10, another guy buys 10. Well, beyond just those guys, this is on top of that. So let's assume that's the way this is working. Everyone else is balancing it out. So I'm just looking at which way the market goes. So yeah. There we go. 500 billion. And then now you're just looking at, again, we're back down to 7 X's. But this is after a huge amount of profit taking. And then let's assume also, why not, Greg the Duck didn't deploy everything. He decided that, he had 1.5 billion, so he could dump 400 million into every single one of his loves, maybe even 500 million. Perhaps he concentrates more on PulseX than Pulse. And this is just buying into this. This doesn't even account the Hart's Law for Pulse going up. Guys, that's not in any of this buy model. So this is a lovely theoretical future where all of a sudden he's buying again and pushing the price back up again as Bitcoin is crashing from its next top. I think I made that too high. Yes, I did. Again, one too many zeros. So that's what happens if Greg the Duck over the 12 months fights the market, injects the money in 2 different rounds, just in case Bitcoin does the same 2-round BS again. And that could be a little bit of what our chart looks like over the next year as we cycle in and out. It could be. So, Bitcoin would be topping about here. And then as it's crashing down through here, that's where, Richard's rotating in. Then it starts resurging back up. And then it crashes again. And this could be a theoretical future, but it depends on all these factors being the same and our scale being 5. But now, what I never even looked at with our scale here of 5 is, what if we changed it to 10? If we get to $1 billion like Uniswap does, let's just get overly bullish for that moon math factor. Again, just so I point this out, guys, I'm not doing the 5-year. Don't look at it. Look at warning, not financial advice. All right? That's what matters. Now, now that we scroll up to 10, wow, we're back up to 48 X's with all of this chaos. Wow. And if we start clearing all this chaos of a simulated market out, just pretend it didn't exist, get back to deleting it. You see the graph change in real time. It's kind of cool. Projected futures. So again, because I didn't get all the way up to 10 before I started doing the projected futures, so just to show you what the built-in buy and burn can do if we do at the end of the year manage to finally crack in and do what Uniswap was doing, $1 billion worth of volume every day. And again, that's a 54x built into the thing. And now, I showed a lot of doom market selling and just Greg the Duck buying on top of the buy and burn. And we still did pretty good, guys. 28x kind of thing. Now, when you kind of got that kind of guaranteed money, what do you think if, I'm wrong about this and the market buys more than it sells and we don't see that 1.5 trillion dumping on top? I have no idea. Nobody really does. It's fun with poking around in the future. But, these numbers can get less conservative and less conservative. I like conservative, so I should have left all that in and just pushed it down to a 2 to see where it was on the scale. But yeah, that's our moon math right now. I could put it all back in just for craps and giggles to see what it's like if we get really low. So let's say that was $10 million again. And then let's say that was $20 million again. And then we were 50 million over here, I think I said. 1, 2, 3. And then sold 500 billion. That's just 500 million. And not dollars, tokens. Counting tokens sold, dollars in. Alright. And then Greg the Duck gets going. Hi. Might get a visit from Pat. She's at the window. Spending the night, are you, darling? Come be a star. Oh, she's busy. She doesn't want me to interfere right now. You might be able to hear her. I don't know. All right, so I've started putting some of these simulations back in. Where 100 million. I shouldn't have taken that all out so quickly. Oh well, and then all that dumping again because I'm crazy. I didn't put enough zeros on that. Or that. 500 billion. There we go. 2, 3. There we go. All right, so now all that crazy marketness, weirdness with just a scale of 2, just $200 million, just our other peaks, throughout the year between 100 and 200 million. Well, it's still an 18.5x. With all that crazy market, if the market worked like that, which I don't think it's going to. This is just an example of like how and the chart still looks pretty similar, just smaller numbers. So guys, this was a nice little moon math run through. Oh yeah, you guys want $2 billion a day just cause you want to see outrageous numbers that won't ever happen. All right, woof, there we go. That's definitely our 100x. That is definitely our 100x if we cranked all the way up to 2 billion. Ooh yeah, not a problem. Now if Pulse pumps 10x, technically that should drag the value of this up another 10x. And 10x times 100x, that's 1000x. All right, there's your math for the day. So again, I want to really, really stress, not financial advice. Warning. All right, warning, not financial advice. But it's a pretty clear line of why this TA line works, because of a buy and burn. Yes, it does. So that's my PulseX moon math video. I tried to make it smaller. Thank you for staying with me. Now I'm going to add from a word from our sponsors. No, I'm lying. They don't sponsor me at all. But I really love the guys. Internet Money Wallet. We haven't done enough to actually look at them and praise what they're doing in the ecosystem. They are at almost 60,000 downloads. And no one really appreciates. I don't really care here. This is a burner wallet. It is a test wallet just for the example of doing this stuff. So my passcode, if you ever get my computer, is yes, we are doing the Spaceballs countdown. What? That's the numbers I have on my luggage. Oh, my wallet's empty. Go ahead and hack it. Yeah, this is empty. But the Internet Money Wallet is this cool because, oh, look, you're on Pulse Chain? Wonderful. You're on Ethereum? Yes, let's change networks. Okay. Takes a moment. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're on a new network. Let's go back to wallet. Oh, look. Here's our account. All right, click on it. Base token already loaded. Can you swap? Yes, you can. Can you change? Yes, you can. You can go to change now through this thing, which is really cool. You can look at your NFTs. You can send. You can receive. And even this is so cool with the sending and the receiving. Like, ooh, look, it just comes up with barcodes that can be scanned. This is so cool, so slick, so easy just to pop into the swap functions. And it's preloaded for all these networks, including Pulse Chain, which is the one it default comes up to. As in, maybe you should be using Pulse. The way MetaMask comes up default Ethereum, I think that's pretty sick. I really do. And the best part about this wallet is it fights for the users like Tron. If you don't want to just get taxed to bits by using a wallet, because at this point I assume you're too lazy to figure out how to attach to a DEX directly and do your swapping, or maybe you do want to. But regardless, this is really cool. If only I had some tokens to do a swap. It won't get me any quotes because I don't have any tokens to swap, but I could show you all the DEX aggregators it checks. So then you can just go, oh, that was the one with the best price? I'll go log in there because you know how. But since you're lazy and you don't want to, everyone who owns time tokens, they own a share of this wallet. So every swap that you make, instead of going like the PulseX buy and burn, every swap that's made in this wallet, instead of that DEX, well, it could be made in this wallet through that DEX. But anyway, every swap, a cut of it goes to the time holders. So some of the team holds time, so they generate their own revenue. That's how the company, like any company, owns a percentage of its own stock. That's kind of cool. And then anyone who really believes in this wallet and how cool it is can own some and get paid daily through the ease of just click and claim dividends. That is beyond cool. They've got some simple laid out settings that are not complicated to follow through. And I really wish I had some test tokens or some real tokens in here. Maybe someone will watch this video so that I can actually do a proper thing. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to click on the wallet account. So like you can't see the whole thing, but let's go receive. So, you guys can scan this or actually see my wallet address right now. And you can send to this wallet if you want me to be able to show you how swapping some Pulse looks. Yeah, you're welcome to. You don't have to. But really, this wallet is just cool and it's easy. Guys, this is a sweet, awesome, cool little wallet. And meanwhile, it's growing and nobody's paying attention to it. It also has a buy and burn, just like PulseX. Now, it's not as powerful because not as many people are using it. It's not seeing the same level of volume. But so far, people have decided to actually, so this comes from the team and from the community, there are only less than 2 billion of these tokens. That is 2,000 million of these tokens, and 32 of those 2,000 are in here, and the dividends being collected. So, to understand, that's about 1.5% of the entire revenue of this wallet is dedicated to buying its own supply and burning it. So at this point, 4.5 million of their tokens, or 2.25% of the supply, has been destroyed. Oh yeah, I'm trying to do it in my head. It's like right here on the screen. Jeez, I should have just read the screen. Anyway, 0.225. So we're approaching our 1% mark. It's taking longer. Yeah. But the cool thing is, the more of these tokens that are burnt, well, that means the cut of dividends that would have gone to the burnt tokens, yeah, it's going to us now. And our cut of the pool continues to grow as the supply burns. So not only is it being bought up and burned, you're getting paid dividends. So it's an interesting little model, but this wallet is Pulse native, and it makes it so easy to just get in, onboard your friends, and have a wonderful time. So again, thanks for tuning in, folks, to this college dropout that does not give financial advice. Remember, ho, 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 we are looking at a beautiful, happy, Merry Christmas season, I think, very much on this protocol. So yeah, I will be watching these prices intently and expecting these numbers to go up. Oh, yes. Yes, it is time, I think. No one knows the future. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, stay frosty.